How much does it cost to start a poultry farm? Hi guys, welcome back to Farm Up. My name is Daniel, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you exactly how much it will cost you to start a poultry farm if you've been thinking about starting a poultry farm. We're going to focus on layers because they involve the most startup capital. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and in case you develop any comment or you have anything to ask, please ask in the comments below. I'll try to answer as many of the questions as I can. Also, please take note that many of the costs involved are one-offs. You're going to spend some of this money at the beginning of the project, but you will not spend them at the beginning of your next project. Things like drinkers, like feeders are one-off costs, so you'll save more for your next project. Also note that a lot of the prices are just estimates. These are prices that I used when I was starting my poultry farm in my country, procuring some of the things close to me and procuring some of the things in the capital city. Prices may vary according to the country where you are, and they'll also vary according to season. For example, the feeds are affected severely by the season. So in case of the feeds and some of the other materials, I try to find the medium prices. Not the extreme high price and not the very low, you to stock up on the market. I.e., when the feeds are very cheap during the harvest time, please try to buy and keep as much as possible. That way you will save more. Also, please take note that you don't need to have all this money before you start the project. Some of the things, for example, the adult drinkers, you can buy probably at around 6 weeks. The adult feeders, the money spent on some of the drugs and vaccines, you don't need to have it at the beginning, but you need to have it planned right at the beginning. Because if you don't have it planned, you will reach a time where you need to, for example, vaccinate the birds and you don't have money, and in the end you shall not vaccinate the birds and you'll end up incurring a loss just in case the chickens get infected. It's important that you either have a constant cash flow or you have all this money stocked up before you start the poultry project. This is to help you prevent selling of birds when your pocket runs dry and you run out of alternatives, which in the end leads to a very massive loss. Please note that we shall use US dollars as the currency. This is to standardize the calculation for use in all parts of the world. You can always translate the currency to your local currency. Also note that we shall use X as the placeholder for the number of chicks or hens. For each item, I shall give you a calculation and a formula, and all you need to do is replace X with the number of birds you want to start with. This will give you the price of the item. It's as simple as ABC. Let's start. The chicks. Each chick will cost $1.2. The total cost will be 1.2 times X. The sawdust or wood chips. Please note that in some countries, you can use coffee husks. For every 100 birds, you will spend $6.25 on the sawdust. So the total cost will be X out of 100 times 6.25. Brooder pepper. For every 150 birds, you need 1 brooder pepper. The unit cost for each brooder pepper is $1.6. That means the total cost will be X out of 150 times 1.6. Also, please note that this can be very easily improvised. You can either use cardboard boxes or newspapers. This can be attained very cheaply and sometimes at no cost. So please don't hesitate to move to a trading center nearby you or to anyone that you know who has these items, and you'll be able to get them cheaply and save some money. Plywood. Plywood is used in making the brooder. 1 piece of plywood shall be used for 150 chicks. Each piece costs $3.7. The total price of the plywood will be X out of 150 times 3.7. Charcoal or briquettes. In this case, I used charcoal as it's the more expensive option. So when you make this calculation and you use briquettes, you're more likely to save. So you will use 1 bag of charcoal for every 100 birds during the brooding period. One bag of charcoal costs $19.7. Hence the total price will be X out of 100 times 19.7. The stoves or the pots. You will need one pot for every 100 birds. One pot costs $2.1. The total price will be X out of 100 times 2.1. Also note that you can use very many other sources of heat for warming the chicks. Drinkers during the brooding. These are the chick drinkers. You will need one for every 50 birds. The cost of one drinker is around $1.45. The total cost will be X out of 50 times 1.45. Feeders used during brooding. These are usually small feeders. You will need one feeder for every 30 birds. Each feeder costs $0.13. The total price is X out of 30 times 0.13. Adult feeders. These shall be used when the chickens have grown up. You need one adult feeder for every 20 birds. Note that these are the round tube feeders. Each feeder costs $7.2. The total price shall be X out of 20 times 7.2. Adult drinkers. You will need one drinker for every 50 birds. Please note that these drinkers can either be made locally or you can buy automatic drinkers. The locally made drinkers are cheaper but more labor intensive. However, when you're starting out, the cost is usually one of your biggest worries. So you'll usually be willing to be more hardworking in order to cut down the cost. The locally made drinkers will cost $2.63 per drinker, which means the total cost will be X out of 50 times 2.63. Or you can use automatic drinkers, which will cost $10.5 per drinker. Hence the total cost will be X out of 50 times 10.5. The feeds. We shall start with chick mash. Chick mash is consumed from day 1 up to day 60. This is usually the first 8 weeks of life for the chicks. Each chick feeds on average 45 grams per day over the 60 days. That means in the 60 days, each chick will feed on 2,700 grams, which is equal to 2.7 kilograms. The unit price of chick mash is $0.42 per kilogram. That means feeding each chick will cost 2.7 times 0.42, which is equal to $1.1. So the total cost will be equal to X times $1.1. Growers mash. Growers mash is given to birds between week 9 and week 18. This totals up to 70 days. On average, each chick feeds on 60 grams per day over the 70 days. In 70 days, each chick will feed on 4,200 grams, which is equal to 4.2 kilograms. Each kilogram of growers mash costs $0.34. Each chick will cost you around 0.34 times 4.2, which is equal to $1.43. The total cost for the growers mash will be 1.43 times X. Layers mash. Layers mash is given to chickens between 18 weeks and culling. However, in this case, we are only concerned with the calculation until the chickens can lay enough eggs that they can sustain themselves. Remember that after the first egg has dropped, the number of eggs laid every day will steeply increase over the first 1 month. And then we shall assume that you'll have an extra 2 weeks to use to look for the market. Hence, in total, we are going to take 6 weeks from time of laying before you're very sure that the chickens can sustain themselves. So at the start of laying, each chick will consume around 100 grams per day. And by 6 weeks after the start of laying, we expect each chick to be feeding on around 128 grams per day. On average, this is 114 grams per day over the 6-week period. 6 weeks is equal to 42 days. Hence, for the 42 days, each chick will feed on 4,788 grams. This shall approximate to 4.7 kilograms. The price per kilogram of layers mash is $0.32. In 42 days, you will have spent $1.5 to feed each bird. Hence, the total price spent will be 1.5x. Vaccination. From the time you bring in the birds to when the birds can sustain themselves, you will spend about $6 for every 100 birds on vaccination. Hence, the total amount spent will be x out of 100 times 6. Vitamins during brooding. In this case, we shall use chick start. 1 kilogram shall be given to 100 birds. Each kilogram costs $8. Hence, the total cost will be x out of 100 times 8. Deworming. 1 liter is given for every 100 birds. 1 liter costs $8. Hence, the total cost will be x out of 100 times 8. Multivitamins. 1 kilogram is given for every 100 birds. Each kilogram of multivitamins costs $10. Hence, the total cost will be x out of 100 times 10. Also note that you might have other small expenditures, and don't forget that you will have to pay the worker or the person who is working on the poultry farm. So if you think the video has been very beneficial, please share it with your friends, like, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.